HYROX. It's one of the fastest growing competitions in the world. It's exciting, it's fast paced, it's super intense. But for some reason, I don't know if it's worth doing anymore. Hi everyone, for those who don't know me, my name is Ben and recently I competed in HYROX Perth, first time ever in the open solo division. In this video, I wanted to just have a recap on how I went during the competition, but also give a bit of a reflection on things which I really enjoyed at the competition, but also things I noticed which seemed really concerning. To give people some context, I recently started HYROX in July. I started in Sydney with my girlfriend where we did the doubles and I really enjoyed it, but I wanted to kind of challenge myself. And because of that, I also booked a ticket for HYROX Perth and I was doing this by myself. For those who also don't know, HYROX is a running race, basically an 8-kilometer run, and in between each kilometer you've got a different strength or conditioning station which you have to do before going on to the next kilometer. I had set a goal of between 70 to 75 minutes, hopefully getting sub 70, and I built out this amazing program where it involved key running workouts integrated with some of the workouts for strength and conditioning at my BFT gym. And I felt pretty confident with this block I would be able to get sub 70, but things sometimes don't go to plan and my gym closed down, which is very unfortunate. And that meant that a lot of the strength and conditioning workouts I wasn't able to do. So it was a very interesting experience trying to find different equipment and different workouts which I could use to supplement what I had lost. Overall, I had a time of 79 minutes, so well over the sub 70, close to the 75-minute mark. So I'm still happy with it because a lot of the things which I did well in and I'm happy about, I trained for and it was in my control. But I know there's a lot of improvement in a lot of other areas, which I'll get to very soon. So the first thing that I want to do is actually just break down some of the stats which I did have before I talk about how I felt during the race. So the first thing I want to talk about here is my running. So total time which I ran was 35 minutes and 26 seconds, and that equates to about a 4:26 minute per kilometer average. I'm very, very happy with this pace, especially if you look back maybe 4 months ago, a 5K was at about 5:30 minute. It shows that the work does work because I was aiming to target that time, especially at a threshold pace. And I'm glad to see at least that, what I was able to do, it works. Workout time, I'm also okay with. It wasn't the best. I would say everything was within the 40 to the 80 percentile. So I was like average or below average for most of them. But total workout time here was about 36 minutes and 33 seconds. And again, I'll just go through a bit of it later. I'm still happy with it considering that I didn't have a gym for like 4 to 5 weeks of this entire training block. And of course, there's some stations which require specific equipment. I just didn't have it at the time and that's completely okay. Final thing I wanted to talk about is the Roxzone. So the Roxzone was about 7 minutes, and to be fair, I'm still happy with that. I feel like I can go a lot faster. I didn't really think about what my strategy was going into it. So in the future, if I decide to do this competition again, I think thinking about the Roxzone and how to shave down even a minute or two on this would be very crucial, because if I was to train more for this, I'd want to do the pro division, and that means heavier weights, and it's going to be a lot faster people as well. But for now, let's just go through each thing chronologically and just talk about what I learned and things which I could have improved on. So the first run was a 4 minute and 41 second time, and that was the slowest in the first 7 runs. The reason why I think attributes to the strategy that I came into it with. Back in Sydney, I told my girlfriend, let's just start all the way at the back and we'll just count down to 10 seconds before we run. And that was a really good strategy then because it meant that we wouldn't get flustered and we wouldn't burn out too easily. But here with the open solos, I feel like that wasn't the wisest choice. HYROX is a running race at the end of the day. And I found that even when I started 10-15 seconds behind everyone, I caught up with them really quickly, and I was probably in like the top 7 or top 6 people there. So I feel like if I had actually stayed with the pack, I would have been maybe like a lot further up front, and it would give me at least a benchmark on how well I'm going relative to everyone else, rather than try and run my own race. I also told myself, just pull it back a bit. This first kilometer or even the second kilometer isn't going to matter in the long run. It's just making sure that you're able to adapt and you're able to not burn out. So then that way, when you get to the third, the fourth, the seventh kilometer, it's going to feel a lot better. Now, this first station, which was my ski erg, was a 4:34. This I was pretty happy with. I think I remember pacing between 2 minutes 5 seconds and 2 minutes 10 seconds, which I wanted. When I was looking around at other people, I could see they were doing like a minute 50, a minute 55. I have the ability to do 150, 155 like everyone else, but something that I realized, especially in training, is that doing the math, it's only maybe 20 to 30 seconds more different. And so the gap won't be as significant as compared to if I was to do the HYROX stations afterwards. So, this pace I'm really happy with, and I felt a lot of freshness and I felt really warmed up, especially going into my second run. So the second run was a 3:59. This one I'm really, really surprised about, and I've impressed myself. I don't ever in practice run a sub 4-minute pace, just because I was training for threshold running more so than actual VO2 maxing. And I think the reason why this was my fastest is because I was just warmed up from the ski and also from the first run, and it just felt a lot smoother. Maybe also as well, it was one of the first times, I guess, where I was putting on carbon plated shoes. And so being able to wear those, it does make your run more efficient. And so maybe that's why I also was able to do a sub 4-minute kilometer. So very happy about that. And I didn't feel like I was gassed out or burnt out. Station 2 is the sled push, 150 kilos. And I was able to get that done in 2 minutes and 41 seconds. Again, something I'm really happy about. I think in practice, when I was doing it at other gyms, I was a bit concerned because I didn't really even have a strategy until the day before. My initial strategy was I'm just going to push it one way, all the way through, rest, and then I'll return doing half the lanes each and give myself like a break in between. But I decided, I think I'm just going to break down these 4 lanes into 8 halves, basically. And I feel like that was the right choice. You never want to burn out too early, and especially with the sled push, because it's heavy, you're going to build up a lot of lactate just from pushing it. Something as well which I feel like helped a lot was the fact that the sleds in my gym are a lot tougher than the sleds which were on HYROX. I think there's a lot of people who say like, oh, the sleds are so different. Every sled seems to be so different. This one seems so tough. Personally, it's not that tough. Like, I think people are just over exaggerating. I'm able to push it like butter, and I've trained in a way where I can adapt even if there's something wrong with the lane or the sled. So I wasn't too worried about this one. Run 3 and run 4 were very similar as well. I'll just talk about it because they coincide similarly with like other stations. But basically run 3, I ran a 4:14, and then run 4, I ran a 4:16. Very similar. I think the reason why is because in training, especially after the sled push, I feel like there's this discomfort which starts to hit. Like at this stage, I know where the pain is going to be. And with the sled push, I knew that straight after, during the run, give myself maybe a minute and I'll be able to find a breathing pattern or a good rhythm again. And I was able to tolerate any discomfort from that. And then even with run 4, which was the run after the sled pull, I find to be quite easy. There is a certain rhythm when you're pulling it as well. And if you choose the right way to pull it, then you can actually catch your breath. And so I use that as like a recovery station. Speaking of which, station 3, sled pull, I finished in 4 minutes and 38 seconds. This one, I feel like I know could have been a lot faster. And the reason why is because during the sled pull, there was 20 to 30 seconds where I had to call one of the judges because the rope had actually been tangled up onto the sled, meaning that when I tried to pull it, it wasn't going to pull straight. And a lot of that time was trying to call one of the judges to come up and just untangle the rope for me. So I feel like I could have got that done, maybe total time of like 350 to 4 minutes. It's just unfortunate that the rope got like tangled up. I think something which did annoy me though was that there was one judge who was right in front of the sled. He could see the tangle. I was putting my hand up, I was right in front of him, and he did not see it. So then another judge from my side had to run all the way to the opposite side to untangle it for me. It's one of those things where I don't have control of, most people don't have control of, but it's just a bit annoying, that's all. All right, so station 4 is the burpees. This is something which I know I need to get better at. I finished it at a time of 4 minutes and 59 seconds. And I think the reason why was just because my form was not efficient. There's this habit I have when I'm going down for the burpees and like my legs flail up like a dolphin kick. I don't know why. It's just wastes a lot of time. I thought it might be good for like momentum, but that was just really, really dumb of me. I won't do that again. I think just going into future training, if I do more burpees, I should be training to be more efficient with the landing. But overall, in terms of like my body positioning, when I jump, kept my body low, I was able to breathe easier. I felt like I was in a really good rhythm. And this wasn't the station, which I feel like everyone says it's like the worst. This wasn't the worst station for me, surprisingly. If you know how to keep your body low and you know how to breathe and find a good rhythm and pace, then this actually isn't as taxing as what most people say it is. It's still tough, but it's not as taxing as what most people say. Run 5. So I completed this one straight after the burpees at 4 minutes and 26 seconds. This one hurt a lot. And like, I know I said burpees aren't tough. The run after still sucks. I hate running as well. So just the culmination of everything, it's going to be the most painful run for me. But I already knew that through training. I think the great thing about training and repeating the training is just that you understand how your body adapts to certain things, and you understand how your body is going to react when there's a certain level of discomfort or pain. And I knew from training that after a minute or two, I would get my rhythm back, it would be less discomfort, and I was going to be more motivated because the next station coming up was more like a rest station. Station 5 was the rowing machine, 1 kilometer, and I completed that in 4:48. Now this one I felt very, very comfortable with. I think I finished it at a pace of like 2 minutes, 2 seconds on average. And this is my favorite station, not because I get to sit down, but it's because I genuinely enjoy rowing. I think during this block, I actually supplemented a lot of my running workouts with rowing workouts. And the reason why is because you demand more muscular endurance when you're doing rowing. So one, I find it more fun, but two, you get a better benefit from doing rowing at less amount of time. In comp, it felt pretty normal to me, especially because I understand how the rowing machine works. Key insight as well, a lot of people tend to put the rowing machine at like 5 to 7. That is completely wrong. You should not be doing that. My recommendation is keep it between maybe 2 to 5. And that's just because you can get a lot more smoother with the rowing and you actually go faster. I remember there was a guy next to me. He had been trying to like race with me and keep up with me for like the entire HYROX competition basically, or whenever we were in. And basically I had my rowing at 2, like damper 2 or damper 3. He had his at 7. And I just remember him trying to like push harder than me. And it got to a point where about the 600 meter mark, he spent 30 seconds trying to reach for the damper to lower it. And again, that's just from experience, from practice. And I just felt really smooth. Like I could just go on forever and ever. And I could see he was struggling and it didn't pay off for him later on because I would see him like stopping and walking because of it. So in terms of that, keep your damper low and make sure that you practice rowing because rowing is really, really fun. I want to just talk about run 6 and 7 together as well. There's nothing really special here or nothing new to talk about. I think again, I knew what my threshold was, 4:30, and I know how that feels. And so runs 6 and 7, they were the same time, 4 minutes, 30 seconds. When you're in a race like HYROX and you're feeling a lot, something which I've noticed is that because of the training you've done, you should know what your autopilot pace is. For me, it was going to be 4 minutes 30. So even when I was struggling or even if I felt great, if I just didn't think of anything, 4 minutes 30. And that was really good for me. And I'm really happy about that. Again, the training does work. And as long as you're staying consistent and you understand your body, then when things get really tough, at least you know you can fall back onto this autopilot mode. So now we'll just talk about station 6 and then I'll talk about station 7. So station 6, the farmer carries, I completed in 2 minutes and 39 seconds. This can definitely be improved on. I was a lot slower than most people who finished it in like a minute 40, a minute 50. So the gap isn't too different. But for some reason, I walked the entire thing. So I still put it down only one time, which I'm happy about. I could have carried it the whole 200 meters, but I stopped at 150 just so that I could take a break and prepare myself for the next 2 stations. But I should have upped my pace and upped my cadence. I don't know why I was just walking slowly. I think it's just out of habit, just from like gym. But again, I just need to improve my speed. It's just something which I have to like break out of basically. So not much to talk about there. Station 7, sandbag lunges. I finished in 5 minutes and 27 seconds. So when I was actually training for sandbag lunges, something which I noticed was that my left knee, if I was to like slam it down on the ground too hard with the lunges, there'd be this like huge bulge and then it'd start to be really painful and swell. And I completely forgot that happened until the race. And so basically during this race, I started to see my left knee swell and I had to slow down. I think I should have put like a compression sleeve for my knee or even just like taping for it, just because it would provide some form of protection. But prior to this, I was actually going really, really well in terms of the lunging. The one thing though, which really shocked me, and I think is tougher than doing the lunges, is carrying that damn weight on your shoulders. You are holding 20 kilos for the open division, but then on pros, you're carrying 30. And that thing is so annoying. Like you're building up lactate, your shoulders feel really stiff. You just want to take it off. And for some reason, for me, like I have trouble breathing with that on my shoulders. So that was probably the worst part about my HYROX comp, just having to hold it. I need to be able to tolerate it more. And I tried practicing it a couple times, but it never gets better. So I think I just need to either like increase the weight or I don't know, actually. I actually don't know. It just sucks. Maybe I just have to accept that it sucks and I just have to do the lunges while accepting it sucks. Now, run number 8. It was 4 minutes and 54 seconds. I think this one was the slowest run overall. And I don't think it was because of the lunges or it was because of like any other station beforehand. I think the reason why is because I just didn't fuel correctly. And so straight after I got onto the sandbag lunges, like out of the station, I could feel I was starting to run on fumes. And that is not a good sign because I've never felt that before. Usually I fuel up really, really well, but I could still feel like I was slowing down. I wasn't recovering as fast. And that made it a lot worse when I got onto the final station. So the final station was 100 wall bores with a 6 kilo wall bore, and I completed that at a 6:47 minute time. So this one was probably the toughest outside of the sandbag lunges, just because I was running on fumes. Usually in training, I'm able to throw up 50 in a row non-stop. I tried to aim for 20 reps in a row, But unfortunately, I couldn't even get up the first 3. I had like 2 or 3 no reps in a row at the beginning, and that was just because I was running on fumes. I think there was a point where maybe I was on like wall ball number 20 something, and I was just on my knees and I couldn't even look up. So I think that's on me. I should have fueled myself properly, or at least brought a gel. I've never had gels before, but I could definitely feel the dizziness and just not being able to lift it up correctly. I remember as well, I finished the wall balls, I ran to the stage, I just collapsed, I was fine, but then when I tried to get up again, I couldn't walk straight. It was like so demanding on my body overall. Not the wall balls, but just everything that I had just done in the 1 hour and 19 minutes.
You fought hard, good job. There's that wall ball again. It's so different in the hand, man. I see it's
Overall, I'm still very happy with the time, especially because with the things that I could control, mainly the running, I was able to achieve what I expected. The 4:26 minute pace is something I'm very, very proud about, and I know I can get a lot faster. But again, I've accepted that there were some workouts and some stations which I could have improved on. I didn't have the gym, I didn't have the right programming, and it's something where I need to look back and reflect for next time when I do HYROX, or if I do HYROX. I mean, outside of the race as well, I think in this video, I just wanted to talk about how I felt with the experience at this HYROX compared to Sydney. And honestly, I did notice some changes because this is a new season and I'm a bit concerned with where it's heading. Before I go into that though, I do want to talk about the positives. I think HYROX is such an amazing format. I don't think there's anything like it at the moment in terms of like competition. It's got a low enough barrier of entry so everyone can do it. It's long enough that people feel like they're going to be challenged, because on average people finish it within an hour and a half, and people can enjoy it as well and watch it. That's why people come to spectate, because it is really entertaining to watch. But at the same time, I feel like I come into this competition and leave thinking to myself, was it really worth it? And the reason why is because I feel like HYROX as an organization is starting to become a bit money hungry. I've written down a list of things which I've noticed with my experience with HYROX. The first thing which I want to just talk about is the ticketing. Tickets are really, really expensive. I think here in Australia, lowest prices start at $230 and then they range to about $290 to $300. And the reason why this price changes is because it's based off a first come, first serve principle. So if X number of people have bought the tickets, then they're going to immediately jump up the price. I personally think this isn't fair, especially because HYROX does give out early passes or like early codes so you can get the tickets earlier before everyone else. But to the average consumer, I do feel for them because they may want to try this out, but once they get on to try and buy it at the deadline, the actual deadline, people have already bought it beforehand and you're looking already at maybe a $260 ticket. Now, in terms of, me purchasing the ticket, I'm very grateful that I have the money to buy the ticket, or I have the gym as well that was able to give me the early pass. But at the same time, when I, for example, go to my gym, I pay, I would say, a relatively premium price because I understand they are providing a service and they're always improving the gym as well. When I look at this sort of price for the ticket, I would expect that HYROX would continue to improve and try to get better and provide a better service. But looking at Sydney compared to Perth, I sometimes look at this, and even I look into the future and I say to myself, what has actually improved? We're giving you a lot of money by buying this ticket, buying spectator tickets, but nothing has really improved from the last event. If anything, it's gotten worse in terms of the experience for the consumer. Athletes as well now have to pay for spectating. So usually in the past, if an athlete had bought their ticket, they were allowed to spectate for the remainder of the weekend, but not in this case anymore. If you're an athlete and you compete on Friday, you can only spectate on Friday. Every other day you have to pay for. That as well, I think, is extremely unfair on the athlete. Again, these tickets, extremely high priced. And not only that, it's the fact that these athletes have been training for months, maybe even years for some people. And you reward them by telling them, hey, you can't support your other athletes. You have to pay extra money if you want to see them on other days. Again, I think from the athlete's point of view, it's very, very unfair for them. A lot of these people don't even have the money. Some people are flying overseas, and it just seems like a very, very poor case of taking advantage of your fellow athletes or the people that are representing you. Spectator tickets as well, as I mentioned, it's just you're only paying for a specific day. But something which I did notice as well in HYROX Perth is they were actually intentionally blocking specific stations. So you weren't even able to view all the stations. In HYROX Perth, in terms of what they blocked, there wasn't any access point to view the rowing station. My girlfriend, surprisingly, was able to find a viewing point near the cafeteria, not in the way of any of the races, but for some reason they kicked her out, and later in the day they put up a barricade to prevent people from looking into the rowing station. HYROX, what is that? My point of view is that you're already paying to watch your athletes, watch your friends, your family compete. Why HYROX as an organization are you blocking certain components? They're paying $30 to watch every station, so they're not getting their money's worth. And to me as well, that's very unfair on the athlete, because you lose that support, you lose that motivation. And I mean, why are we paying this price if the viewing experience has been downgraded or been reduced? If you're going to reduce certain station viewings, then you should also reduce ticket prices as well. Finally, I also wanted to just talk about something which I saw at both Sydney and Perth, and it's the fact that merchandising is so expensive. I've seen shirts and shorts for like $90, and then even the bag specifically where you can put your patch on for your HYROX like completion, like the bag itself ranges from like $300 to $500. I've looked at Amazon and found similar army bags, and they only cost $50. So, that markup is extremely high for something which people can buy elsewhere for a lot cheaper. And again, you're just taking advantage of your branding and your name just so that you can try and make as much money and profit off these people. And I think that's very, very unfair. I think when you look at something like, for example, a marathon or half marathon, these are other sporting events. They last a lot longer. I think people get more out of that experience than they do with HYROX now. And it costs much less. People don't have to pay to watch someone complete the half marathon, or come to support them. If they did, then no one would come to watch, it'd be stupid. Look, I think there is a lot of things like this where I look at the sport, and again, I think I understand what they're trying to get through. They're trying to make a premium product, like a premium event for, top end athletes. But, for the average consumer, such as myself or like my girlfriend or basically everyone else that wants to try it, I feel like it's going to come to a point where you start excluding people from participating in the event. And that's not something which you want to see from an event like HYROX, because again, there's nothing like it. It's really fun. I still want to do it, but sometimes I reflect and I look at it, I look at the cost, and I'm just like, is it really worth doing? I think the final thing as well, which I kind of wanted to talk about, is just how I'm feeling now after the race. I think something which I've noticed is that after the race, I wasn't fulfilled by the time or the speed or the run. I remember just sitting at a bench and then looking at the badge, and the only thing I could think about was my old gym community, everything we had all gone through, and the fact that I was doing this for them. And I'm proud to say it, I'm not gonna lie, I did get very teary and emotional from it. I really miss everyone there, and I just remember thinking, man, if I could not do this event, And like just to have my gym back, I definitely would, because like I miss everyone. And I think this is something which I've learnt from just training for this event and also in competing in it. I'm not fulfilled by like getting a PB or being the fastest. I was so fulfilled when training because I knew that I was representing the people who had supported me all this way through. And now that they were gone, it just felt a bit empty. And it felt a bit like, what's next, you know? Because at the end of the day, it wasn't the event that fulfilled me. It was the community which supported me from doing this event. I think as well, just because of everything that's happened, I feel like I've lost a bit of like passion and enthusiasm to like move, to exercise, to compete. And it's very sad to say that. Maybe I'm burnt out. I probably am. But yeah, I just don't know if I want to be doing this anymore or what I want to do next. I think at the moment, it's just, I want to just be able to find that passion again. And I know I definitely lost it because I was training for HYROX. What we do next, we'll see. Anyways, I'd like to thank everyone who watched till the end. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, please subscribe. If not, that's okay. But there'll be more of stuff like this or more vlogs. We'll see. Anyways, catch you later.